Hey guys, so let's talk about UFC Vegas 116 and let's talk about the main event. Aljamain Sterling versus Youseff Zalal. It's a pretty good fight. It's a very interesting fight. Both guys have kind of won most of their UFC fights by control time and mixing in the grappling. Whenever I've talked about Zalal in the past, I talk about his striking defense rate, which if we get into it here, his striking defense is 66%, which has to be among the best in the UFC. So that's something that Aljo is going to have to worry about. But if you look at him, if you just bear with me a second, his defense rate is 59, which, I mean, you can do a lot worse than that. I've seen many people with worse striking defenses than that. We can just go down the card if we wanted to, and Aljo would be among the leaders in striking differential rate. Aljo is also going to be landing more strikes per minute. If we just scroll down a bit here, and we see 4.45 strikes per minute for Aljo, only 3.03 for Youseff Zalal, and the accuracy is just slightly in favor of Aljo too. We've already talked about the difference. Sorry, we've already talked about the defensive rate. Obviously, Aljo with a much bigger UFC sample size than Zalal. Zalal went out of the UFC for a bit, and he came back. He's been much better on his second stint. I believe 5 wins, probably actually more than that. So since his draw with Damon Blackshear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row for Zalal. Somewhat not the best competition, but Aljo isn't really either. That's just the state of this division right now. The Jack Shore fight, it was Jack Shore's last fight. A few years ago, I would have viewed Shore as a quality opponent, but he really wasn't at this point. He was able to land 2 takedowns on Zalal, but then he was taken down and arm triangled. So then you have Calvin Kattar, common opponent. Aljo also beat Kattar by unanimous decision. And Zalal did it with 74 strikes to 38. Basically doubling the output of Calvin Kattar in their fight. Aljamain, I believe, landed 8 takedowns. He did it mostly by grappling. And then you have the Josh Emmett fight. You can tell by all the zeros. Hardly even started, and Zalal won by armbar. So if you take a look at Aljo here, Brian Ortega, not a terrible win. Ortega is somebody who has some decent wins in his UFC career. He definitely has a lot of UFC level experience. And Aljo took him down 3 times, landed 124 significant strikes. And if you look at it here, if we get into the numbers a little bit, Aljo's doing most of that by distance striking, not ground striking. Round 1, he's 0 for 0. So if you go over here, I guess it's better to look at 100 of 198 from distance, only 17 of 22 from the ground. So Aljo is a decent striker. If we're going to give the edge to somebody in this matchup, then I would give in striking. Then I would give the edge to Zalal. He's also the more dangerous striker. If somebody was going to win this fight by knockout, then I believe I would pick Zalal. If somebody was going to win this fight by submission, they both are quality submission fighters, but I believe I would go with Aljo there. And that's when it gets a little interesting. If we go over to Sherdog and we look at the fight here, first look at Aljo. Aljo just 3 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission, and 13-3 by decision. He's got a very strong decision record. And then if you go to Zalal, 4 wins by knockout, 10 wins by submission, and he's just 4-5 by decision. So he has a losing record by decision, a lot of submissions, which I don't really see him getting those against Aljamain Sterling, and one more knockout than Aljo has. But important to note here, never been knocked out, also never been submitted. So if you want to talk durability, I think you would go slightly to Youseff Zalal. Obviously, Aljo, never been submitted, great grappler. I can't even think of a time that he was beaten on the mat with grappling. He was taken down several times by Peter Yan in their first fight, but he was never able to really control him. And I can't think of any time that Aljo was out-grappled. Knocked out twice. I believe that is Marlon Moraes quite a few years ago, and then obviously Sean O'Malley more recently. So things to consider with striking. I think edge goes to Zalal, but not maybe as wide to me as some people seem to think it is. Aljo lands in more volume, as we pointed out. I think Zalal is the more dangerous striker. He's the slightly better defensive striker, and he's probably more diversified striker. He's a guy that can land like flying knees. He's got a kicking game, probably some spinning back fist game. Aljo's got some kicks too, and he's a decent boxer. Again, Aljo will win more just by touching you up. He's not really going to threaten to finish you on the feet. And then if we go to grappling, both guys are good grapplers, but Aljo, I think, is just a better grappler. He's got a stronger wrestling background, and I think he's a lot better at jiu-jitsu. A lot of people think of Aljo as a wrestler, which he is. That's what he was first. But Aljo's also an excellent jiu-jitsu fighter. So, and I think he's a better jiu-jitsu fighter here. I don't think we see Aljo have much trouble if they were to grapple at all. And I don't know how much grappling to expect, but if we do see grappling exchanges here, I think that Aljo will be winning them and possibly threatening Zalal with them. I do expect this fight to probably go to decision, and then maybe Aljo's much better decision record of 13-3, and Zalal's of 4-5 comes into play, and we see Aljamain Sterling win another 5-round decision. Right now, you can get Aljo by decision for plus 275. You can also just bet his money line for plus 125. I think I'm taking the decision myself, mostly because of the prop show I do on Friday nights, the Prop Fiend show on Fight Fiend Forecast YouTube channel. But I am medium confidence that Aljo wins this fight, just based on his good UFC resume, winning the striking volume battle, and if it gets to grappling, he wins the grappling battle.